25th, 2021, and it is Christmas. It's a very interesting thing to be doing all the different projects that I have been on, trying to, get reconnected with family, to work on projects, to increase quality of life at home. And it's just been such a huge journey. And today at the Borman side of my family, it felt like some of that had a culmination of all these different little things come together. So for my grandpa, I bought him some buckets because our family's apparently practical that way. Or at least I am. My brother told me to get my grandpa a bucket, so I got him 3. And I didn't think that was enough, right? So I created this award for him, which is part of this collection I call Face Awards. And this particular one was modeled after a tarot card called the Emperor. And my grandfather has been one of the biggest dominant male role models in my life. And I thought, well, why not make him a award based on that? It was kind of a risk for me personally because as I've grown up, I've struggled with feeling accepted by my family because my lifestyle and choices that I've made are a little different than, say theirs. And but another part of the awards is I like to write my other project called Phase Letters. And so the letter really was speaking to how much he's impacted my life and positively influenced me and my actions and decisions. Some of the old memories, that he helped bring into my life. And it was just really special. And I wrote it out and I put it with a bucket list and a journal. And inside the journal it said, "Here's to not kicking the bucket," which I thought was hilarious, right? But yeah, so we got a nice old hug at the end, and I think it was really touching to him. The way he responded was just, aw, it makes me want to cry if I'm honest. And that's the point behind these awards. The people I write them out to, the letters specifically, they're very impactful on me emotionally, and hopefully them. But it's okay. It's kind of a healing thing for me in general. And so one of the other things that kind of stuck out to me was that I had posted online yesterday that I read my own tarot, right? And since my family's really religious, having tarot cards is kind of like that woo-woo thing, and I'm like, well, it's a lot more about psychology than it is what you're making it out to be. These are just cards. But our brain does interact with the cards, their meanings, meditating on the thoughts, and you can really help somebody using the cards kind of figure out a situation. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of pulling people to the side and just fucking being there for them, with them, to hear what they have to say, what's on their mind, And when you do a lot of psychology research combined with, lived experience and so on and so forth, it really creates a new opportunity to connect with people. And so my cousin had asked for a tarot reading for me, and I was like, well, let's do it tomorrow when we have Christmas, right? And so we ended up going in the back room, and I read her cards twice, and we pulled one extra card on one of them. But it felt good because I was having authentic conversation for my cousin. I was being there for her in a moment with a situation that she doesn't necessarily feel safe enough to communicate to the rest of the family, and a lot of that comes from the fact that I'm kind of just authentic about my life a lot. And so I'm not so worried about other people's opinions. I try my best not to, at least. I do care. But was that too, I got to connect with my grandfather and my cousin in a way that's probably deeper than most encounters with my family. And we even kind of switched up the style of Christmas to like when we had Thanksgiving, we were all huddled very, very, very close at my aunt's house, and I was like, wow, I like this though. And so this year we replicated that a little bit, and it just felt nice, right? What was interesting too though is there was no children at this gathering. Usually there's a little child running around, and this year, due to the pandemic, there wasn't as much of that, right? The kids, 2 of them just got their first shot, the vaccine, and so they didn't feel well. And there are 2 newborn babies, and so like their little family pods didn't show up because they're afraid if you don't get the vaccine, these children could be at risk, and so it's just kind of how my family's been approaching it. And so unfortunately I haven't been able to see my brother and sister-in-law and their 2 kids all that much, except for when I make time to go out to them. And so that becomes its own personal experience where I'm connecting with family. What I think Christmas in general, to go from the Mormon side of my family, now I'm heading to the Donny side of my family, is yet another just like feeling that I've longed for. And the connection with my family means so much to me. The Donny side of the family, I've been putting in a lot of solid effort to see them more often and just fucking know my family. When death is so prevalent around me because of this pandemic, it really makes me want to pull in closer the people that matter to me, and those people are my family. And I might not know my family very well, but there's a lot of research on feeling close to your family matters, and can be very healing, right? Especially if you take time to, on the side, not during a family gathering, have hard conversations or divulge real thoughts and emotions, and just working together. These are important, and I feel like I've been able to experience that more with my family now that I've stopped traveling, right? That helps. And now I'm here settled in their neck of the woods, and I get those opportunities more often. It's just beautiful, really. It's really beautiful. Even though some of my thoughts and projects and desires go way slower than I would prefer them to, I'm still, trucking along trying to make this vision unravel for me. And I gotta say, the project around family, this one I call Faye's Family, PHASC on all of these, by the way, and then the 2 dots and then whatever the title is. It's so powerful. It's confidence building. It's feeling connected and hopeful and loving and sharing, and it's just crazy. Now someone who was very distant from the family finally coming back, it's like relearning who these people are. They're relearning who I am. It's incredible. I honestly, it blows my mind, really. Because the amount of warmth and acceptance I got from them. It took follow through and commitment to showing up, and it feels glimpse of what people are doing. 2 people in my family of the 3 that retired recently have gone back to work. I find that very fascinating, you know. Yeah, my grandpa's been retired for decades, and he is in his 80s and does more work than most people I've met who are, 50 years younger. I actually would love to do a recording, an interview of my grandfather, my grandma, my family in general, because I think they're quite brilliant. But I have to actually get them one-on-one to talk about the things that I would like to cater the interview to, and it's good. It's good. My mom, she tried to take a family photo with the timed camera thing, but the battery died after like 1 click, so she got 1 photo. We had to move a couch and everything for that 1 photo, but at least, she likes her pictures. And she was showing off a new tripod that she got, and she's like, look, it's metal! And so, another thing with my family is we've been trying to learn technology together, I guess you could say. Like, my grandma wants to learn this technology, and then she gets my little brother to help out, and my mom, she finally had a new cell phone, because where she lived, the cell phone service was really bad until only the last few years. And so with her new phone, she has more access to the internet, and the projects she's putting together have increased in quality. She's getting involved with other family members of mine who have similar interests, and some of these interests are dieting, exercise, and not filmography, photography, and fireworks. My family likes to do the professional fireworks, like big shows and stuff. I've done it before with them, but I no longer feel all that ethical about doing fireworks due to triggering PTSD in other people and the amount of fires that are caused because of them. So I really stepped back from that, and I kind of burned a bridge there anyway. So they're like, well, we're never going to ask you again. I'm like, well, I don't really want to be asked again, actually. So so that was a whole thing, but it was those hard conversations. It's like, okay, well, that was fun. I loved that we had that experience together, but time to move on. And I don't know. I do think that the other thing that I kind of want to see if I can coordinate would be it's called the Big Conference. The Big Conference. Big stands for Basic Income Guarantee, right? And so I think out in June, I could technically, since it's in my town, or close to it at least, what if my family hosted people tent camping on property, My grandfather's got a large field, maybe that. Or my mom, we actually already talked about having people tent camp at her place, and I was going to do this festival. But what if it was for this event instead, and just making it a little more connected and homey, and building relationships with people. I honestly, I think that's the most incredible thing we could do. I want to do a proposal at the event, and I find myself conflicted because I'm not exactly sure how I want to proceed. But I do think I have some content that could technically benefit other people's lives, and or what if I was a vendor? Could I gather together enough merchandise to give out and sell? Could we have a booth where all these different basic income advocates came together to show what they've created? Artists who've made things. My buttons that I've been creating, also another project called Phase Buttons, right? And they're limited edition for some of them, but they're definitely collectible. And ironically, I gave one of the buttons to my cousin today. So one of the phase awards I did was these medals, and it on one of them it says first achievement unlocked. Anyway, so I gave that one to her, so that was kind of cool. She's like, first achievement unlocked? What did I unlock? And I was I should have like come up with something a little more, creative, but I was like, whatever feels good, whatever, But doing the tarot reading for me, that's kind of what felt like the moment. But yeah, so I really want to work on a proposal. That sounds fun. And the other thing that sounds really fun is some of the projects that I'm working on are working towards the direction of community building. So there's this big event, not big, it's a dinner with community members who are, making change in the Portland area, who are maybe executive directors or involved. And I honestly, I would love to see how that goes. I've been kind of struggling a little bit with one of the people that I work with, like on yet another project, because I do so many, right? But I've positioned myself intentionally within these organizations and communities, and so the tarot reading I did yesterday was pretty much like, you're in the right spot, but you need to pause, take care of yourself, be creative, pay attention to the messages around you. I'm like, fine, right? And it was actually that tarot reading that led to the final outcome being the Emperor, which is what I made my grandpa's award be, right? So I was like, for governing, structure, organization, something, and being a dominant male in our family. So something like that. And yeah, so to me that was like, okay, just you're doing good, you're on the right path, and that felt right, but honestly that led to the decision, no work, absolutely no work this weekend. And that is difficult for me. I didn't realize how difficult it would be. That was kind of like a big eye-opener, because I like to critique myself and or grow and learn, but I'm so hard on myself that like I just deep dive into it, especially if I've been triggered emotionally, which did happen very recently. I've been very triggered, and I literally most of yesterday was spent with panic attacks or anxiety attack, depending on what you want to call it. I kind of feel them interchangeably sometimes. I can't tell you which one it is. Maybe panic attack is a little more accurate. Yeah, oof, that was hard. But it led me to seeking help and really trying to reevaluate me and my behavior. Why? Because my behavior almost seems like a symptom of something, and my actions might cause people hurt, which is, I hurt somebody recently, and I've already been trying to like not hurt people, right? Like that's like my goal, and how does it keep happening? If it's not one thing, it's another, and I'm not responsible for other people's emotions, okay, and I get that, but I don't need to be contributing either. And I personally felt like I was advocating for my boundaries to be respected, and that was when the miscommunication and or thing escalated, right? And I was like, fuck, I'm trying my best, guys. But so if it was a symptom though, what is it a symptom of? And I feel like one of the tools I recently created was a list of boundaries around work. And the work boundary list that I had talks about the hours, the type of conversations we're going to have, when that's even appropriate, if we need to go outside of that, just metrics that matter. And so like part of me wonders if I'm still compatible with the work that I'm doing. And a lot of me thinks, well, this is what you want to be doing, but are you compatible with your coworkers? And I think that's a thing that not a lot of people necessarily, they might complain about and they might talk about it, but is it something people work towards resolving, right? And what would that look like if I wasn't going to run away from my problems again? Because I love running away from problems. And sometimes I think getting away from the problem, getting space and time away actually can lead to healing, but not always, right? Maybe it's actually better if you have those conversations. And the person that this conflict happened with, we normally have those conversations where we try to resolve. Yeah, I'm struggling. And I don't want to be struggling. But, again, I'm just going to try and not work this weekend. Really, I need to just have a vacation. I have not been doing as much self-care as I could be doing. I recognize that. I have been excited about certain projects of mine, so I've been really deep diving into them because I finally learned organization. And this organization came from just like fucking WikiHow, okay? I needed to learn how to organize. I just didn't know great techniques, and so it was very frustrating. But when you learn it, you might actually be excited because you have a plan of action. You're like, well, shit, look, I did it. Mission accomplished. And, can I do that by adding just one change? One change a month, even. 1 to 2, and I've been doing that for, over a year now, trying to slowly incorporate new behaviors in my life. One, to help reduce the amount of times that I'm triggered, right? I need to heal my emotional state. I have a lot of trauma, a significant amount of trauma that I have been working through. I recognize it exists, and it has created behaviors within me that I don't like, so I want to work on them. But there's also other things like, I don't know, just essentially the quest for Synthacopia that I've been on is like the template I've been using. And I've been comparing the immune system response of the body to maybe what the planet's immune system response might be, and how humans and our organizations and structures could represent cells within a body and working together in order to heal. And I found a great template, and I've been able to use it and translate it many different ways in order to understand how structures communicate, activate, strategy, all of these things that the body would naturally do. And the reason I use this as an example is because it's a working system that is proven to work. The body heals itself. That's one of the best things about it, right? And these days people are like, well, you need medicine for that, we need that and that and that. Well, okay, well, maybe you need to nourish your body and you're deficient in something, or maybe you're not paying attention to X, Y, or Z. But we also need doctors for the things that we can't take care of for ourselves. And, that is important. So, using the immune system response theory that I have been, playing around with, the other thing I've noticed is I have, for the quest for Synthacopia, there is this goal for the cathedral. Okay, the cathedral has always been kind of this concept, not necessarily a physical location, right? And in this concept is a building that or a workspace online. I don't care, it doesn't matter where it is, but it's a building that people get together, share resources and skills, and they can just co-create a future that brings balance. And that's my goal. I want balance, I want homeostasis, I want to talk to it and build as much as I can in order to step into the 30-year vision I have for my life, right? And that has been, I'm already a couple years into that vision, and it's coming along way better than I would have ever possibly thought, doable. And so the cathedral, though, would actually be part of the, quote, immune system response theory. It's one of the 21 to 23 different things that need to coordinate in order to heal. And I've been finding these people. And so there's this innovators chat that I've been a part of on, not Signal, it's a different platform. Anyway, and we're there, and I met this person, and we started to do a couple calls, and they care about the inevitable human needs, and they created this periodic table of what I would call inevitable human needs, but have simplified it, had color coding, and it was just fucking brilliant. I was like, okay, we need to talk. And when I mentioned the immune system response, they're like, wait a minute, that's brilliant. And so they started looking into it, and they already knew some of it, right? And it's so fun to find, quote, the multiplayer version of my quest for Synthopia. Originally, it was all about, for me, the idea was the walkthrough was, a choose-your-own-adventure walkthrough to life where you can achieve goals and find fulfillment. And I'm just trying to live proof of concept that this even works. It pairs with the hero's journey, right? And so the hero's journey is used in film and all these other places where you go on a quest, you have death of ego, you find the solution, and it changes the whole planet, okay? You can find this in Harry Potter, Star Wars, a lot of famous movies that a lot of people like, And, but the thing is, if one person goes on a hero's journey, it doesn't just affect the one person, it affects the planet, right? And I think that's what I find is the most beautiful thing about this template. It's working. That's it. It just blows my mind, right? And I've led to be inspired, but inspire other people. I've learned how I learn. I've been able to teach how I learn. I figure if I can learn it, I can teach it, right? And it's been very efficient. So yeah, the biggest problem I have is I had a lot of learning curves to technology because when I was traveling, I unplugged from technology in a lot of ways, and so people were far ahead of me in years of understanding, video editing, recording, making short clips, and all this stuff. And I was like, what's that app called? But then it was 15, 20 different apps I had to learn, and it just felt very frustrating, and also caused a bit of mood swings while I was in those curves, if you will. It's not as bad as it was right now. I'm still in it, though, I can tell. There's apps like Airtable and OneNote that I would love to be using a little more often, but what I find, actually, is I can find these things, but I have a backed up queue, if you will, of things I need to learn, of things I have to accomplish, where are they on the priority list? And so then I was like, fuck, I have a million projects, I have a bunch of things I don't understand. So what I ended up doing was I created a checklist, and I made a checklist of all the different projects, and so each project had a bunch of lines, and I just wrote down some action items that needed to happen per project, per thing that I cared about. And then I grabbed all those projects and I sorted them to what is higher priority for me right now. So I could put some in the quote, parking lot. I'm going to park it here. It's going to sit there for a while. I'm not going to drive it around, but I got it. And it's there, but we don't need to use it right now, And so that, when I pair it with this new organizational technique of research, is they're like, okay, you need a specific notebook per subject matter. So now I have all these checklists, and now I have all these notes notebooks that correlate to each checklist. And as I do that per project, what's fascinating is the projects are moving forward in a way that's connecting dots with all the different projects, but I can actually focus and meditate, if you will, on each project and subject. And I'm like, wow, shit, progress. This is nice. And now I can cut and paste different example templates, maybe order forms or things that I want to mock up my own projects to look like. And it's all there, and it's not on 10 different pieces of paper that I have to sort every time I come up with something. And I had already started doing individual journals for certain projects beforehand. And that made me progress quite a lot, actually. But it didn't dawn on me to do it for other things. And now I just have a ridiculous amount of notebooks. But that's okay. It's worth trying. And I noticed another thing that happened was what I call the battle results menu. And what I did is I took Final Fantasy. They have this battle results menu that tells you how much experience points you earned, how much money you made, and whatever items you got from each battle. And so now I have a whole notebook devoted to understanding the algorithms of leveling up in real time. And so I noticed a behavior of mine where I was going, aha, and sometimes when I made these noises to myself, my partner would be like, oh, what was that thought? And I was like, oh, I had a thought. Yes, what was that thought? And so then I would relay that information to him. Well, what I started doing was whenever I made that noise, I wrote down on that piece of paper, achievement unlocked. I didn't even know what it was sometimes. I just know I made that noise. And so when I wrote it down, I had to pause, meditate on what that noise was about, document just like a 1 to 2 sentence thing. I tried to keep it short, thing. And after I kept doing that, it actually triggered what I call epiphany chains. And so I was having like, aha. And so then I was somehow entering this battle where I finally was resolving issues. And then if I collected them at the end, I started categorizing them. Was this an actual item, like something I named, like I need this book, I need this template, so that was an item. And then there were affirmations I could tell myself, or actions I could take. And so essentially there was 3 different things. I kind of either call them actions, affirmations, or asks, or terms, tech, and tools, right? They kind of align, if you do it right, to each other, but they're a bit off. It's fine. It's just enough to guide me to understand where it needs to be. And so when I wrote them out, though, and I would read them all after, several epiphanies, I could figure out what my next step was, because I was like, aha. So, in the game, it's like, how many points till your next unlocking, or the next level up. Well, it was hard to quantify that with a number, but I could come up with the next step. And I was like, well, that's fucking brilliant, And so I'm just so stoked, man. Now, the achievement unlocked was a good first step, but there was also leveling up. That was another separate experience that I was having, where I felt overwhelming happiness, excitement, or a fulfillment, if you will. I was like, I learned something, and one time I even did a happy scribble all over the page. I just wanted to scribble, and it was, and I was like, oh my God, I leveled up, right? And so I was able to track that too. And so I was like, oh my gosh, did I finally learn how to do a reward system in real time for real life? And that was it. I did. And it was exciting to me. But to relay this to people takes time, it takes diagrams, it takes words, it takes me recording this and transcribing it if I can, and re-listening to the content I've created, because when we listen to words, especially if we say it out loud, we're actually allowing our brain to encode this information in a new way. We're coming, I can't come up with the thoughts prior, though I notice a lot of what I say out loud to people is actually just straight from my notes. So that's crazy. But I'm able to formulate things, and I'm able to create speeches that I can listen to a few times, and then when I meet somebody in the right moment, I can I've already rehearsed everything so that I'm actually prepared for the conversations that I want to have, right? And that in itself is so powerful. So powerful. But yeah, so the quest for Synthacopia is blowing my mind. I am making immense progress, and just life is fulfilling, even though I struggle sometimes, with work and relationships with other people and expectations, but I'm doing the best I can with what I have. And, sometimes that means I have mental health problems that I have to address and take care of. But yes, that is all I'm going to say for now. This was fun, and I am glad I had this opportunity to record some of these thoughts.